Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Legendary Founding Titan, and today we're going to be talking about the future of Halo Infinite's campaign. And you might be thinking, well, is this going to be about 343? Is this like we talk about what we talk about today? Well, I'm actually not talking about 343. I'm not talking about any business practices. I'm not talking about what Halo's fate is. I'm not talking about any of that. And I know they just got rid of you know a bunch of people for the Halo campaign, so it's gonna be a while before we get anything. So this is me just kind of theorizing, like what we might be able to see or get from the future of Halo and stuff, like the future of Halo Infinite, and me just kind of theorizing and throwing the ideas in a bucket what I think would be cool or not or whatever. So if you not really interested in like the theorization of what I'm about to say, then this video probably isn't for you. Just you know, you just click off of it or whatever. But for those who are interested, just let's just throw ideas in a bucket, shall we? So my biggest dream for Halo Infinite is for the humans to finally take their place as the Reclaimers, which we're kind of getting into that sort of territory. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's getting to that point where it's kind of obvious that, the UNSC are supposed to, be the wielders of foreigner technology. Thus, is the reason why they're able to activate foreigner, structures, and the Covenant cannot. And we also see at the end of, Halo Reach that, you got that big ship in the background. It was definitely a UNSC ship, but it looked like foreigner architecture, which, is kind of a send off to us, trying to be, the Reclaimers sort of deal. So I'm really hoping we step more into that white of territory, and I really want to see eventually like the Banished and everything just teaming up. Because here's the thing, I feel like what's gonna happen. I feel like once Atriox dies, because let's be honest, he's gonna die. Sooner or later, Atriox is the leader of the Banished and all. He's going to tip over, and because he's already in pretty rough shape from what we saw, and the Banished is also it has been in rough shape and even more so now after the events of Halo Infinite and stuff. Um, so my theory is once Aatrox dies, and basically the demand for a new leader will be upon us for the Banished. Um, my guess is for those that played Halo Wars 2, I'm guaranteeing the next leader would more than likely be probably I have to assume Pavium. I don't think it would be like Shipmaster. I feel like the Banish more respectfully, well, they have a higher respect for Brutes because that's where it all started with Brutes for the Banished. So I don't think it would really be Shipmaster. That wouldn't make much sense. I feel like and this won't make any sense if you didn't play Halo Wars 2, but I do think it would be either Vordis or Pavium that would be, in control of the Vanish afterwards. So, what would this all mean? Well, really, I don't think the Banish at that point in time would actually want to uh, keep fighting the UNSC as, the numbers are dwindling, you know, at once Aatrox falls, because you already know that Aatrox, before he falls, a lot more banished forces are going to die before him. And like I stated, Aatrox is already in a very weakened state. So I'm really thinking that Aatrox is really once Aatrox's forces that are defending him also tip over, I feel that what if let's just say if I theorize correctly that Pavium. Now here's the thing, I don't think I said Pavium or Vortis, but I really actually can't see Vortis now that I think about it. Reason being, the Awaken of the Nightmare, Vortis actually was the one that released a Flood of Gravemind. And, well, it's also hence the reason why the Banished are in such a weakened state. Because from that Gravemind, it was said in the campaign that, well, the Banished have lost roughly half of their forces from that Gravemind in a short term time, a short amount of time. All thanks to Vortis being curious of what this thing was, what this containment was. And it cost them all these troops, all these resources, and that's why the Banished are in even a weaker state than, well, they should be, because of the flood parasite that attacked them. And so I don't think, and Vortis is also just too dumb, like straight up. He just he's just headstrong. He just wants to get in there and kill stuff. I don't really think he's like that great of a leader, especially in comparison to Pavium, when Pavium is a leader of economics, defense. Like, he is a leader that I can see for the Banished. They would want someone that can maintain resources and defend, especially since they're on Zeta Halo, where there's powerful Forerunner and there's UNSC hunting them down. They're gonna want someone like Pavium to actually take charge. So inevitably it probably would be Pavium, since Decimus is dead, and any leader that was really introduced to us in Halo Infinite was like a lot of the lieutenants and stuff were killed. So I do think Pavium would be the next spot. So what does this all mean again? I think at that point in time, either the Banished are gonna just keep. I doubt this one, but I think the Banished will try to defeat the UNSC in a possible defensive war under Pavium, but it's unlikely. I feel like it would be more toward an alliance at that point, because you got two groups, you got two massive groups of people, UNSC and Banished, that are both just extremely weak on a very hostile environment, and the Flood is still out there. And we haven't seen the Flood in ages. We haven't seen the Flood in ages. What do you think they're doing right now? They didn't die in Halo 3, because Halo Wars 2 confirmed that. Halo Wars 2, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was already confirmed in lore, but in the mainline Halo games, since Halo Wars 2 is before, Halo Infinite, we can safely confirm now the Flood's still out there. It is still out there. So it is very likely that we'll get them introduced in. It's very likely we'll get introduced to them again in Zeta Halo. and that's gonna have to call in for a massive truce. It would have to. I mean, the Covenant is gone. The Covenant is no banished. Or sorry, vice versa. The banished is no Covenant. The Covenant was a powerhouse. They were strong as hell. They had fleets. They had, high powered, you know, leaders. You had Tartarus. You had all the prophets. You had all the elite council members. You had, you know, Splitjaw, Arbiter. You had a lot of leaders. They're all gone. I mean, Arbiter's still around, but he's not Covenant. He's not Covenant anymore. So, yeah, a lot of people have really fallen now. And UNSC is also. I feel like UNSC definitely is doing better than Banished. However, I don't think by much after the destruction of, Infinity. Which is obviously an issue. So I'm trying to think of, because even if they do team up, I'm really curious how they're gonna win, to be honest. Because even with their truce, I don't know if it could be possible now with how little people they both have. Now we do have good hope though, because a lot of the people that are left, they're no pushovers. We got a lot of powerful characters, like a lot of big powerhouses on Zeta Halo. We have, Pavian, we have Bordis, we have, Lasky's great command ship. Like, he's a good commander. You know, you still got Commander Palmer somewhere out there, a Spartan. You got Locke and his team. You got Fred and Blue Team out there. You got Master Chief. So we do have it's a pretty stacked cast of people we have on Zeta Halo. So if we were to have a truce and to fight the Flood, it is possible that they could still very well defend off the Flood. Unless they've been... I just don't know, though. I feel like it's going to start out with scouts from the Flood. I feel like it's going to be like a small amount of forces, like maybe like a Corvette or something. But then I don't know. I'm just expecting out of the blue just 3 grave mines just landing all over Zeta Halo and just blowing shit up, cuz the Flood, the Flood hasn't been in the game for a long time. What do you think they're doing? Now, this is the thing too. The Foreigners would be more obligated to attack said Flood as well, so we would also technically have them on our side as well. So that would also help our, the cast out. So I'm just trying to think of how it would all unfold, campaign wise, when you would actually meet the Flood, how many more missions after the current events of Halo would we actually meet these guys, the Flood. And the thing is too, though, there's also a container that holds creatures that cannot die. They cannot die, but I'm guaranteeing they can be possessed though. So what do you think the Flood is gonna go for? if the grave mine is able to hack into the terminals with by taking over a sentinel or taking over a monitor by any chance, for a fact that he's gonna want that container. And what are we gonna do if he gets them? At that point, you just be fucked, right? Like you have something that apparently can't. Now I'm guessing. I mean, it has to have a weakness at some point, right? Like there has to be some form of way of killing it. But I don't know because even supposedly even the Halo rings, what after they fired, they didn't kill them, despite what we know of the Halo rings that they kill everything. So I'm really interested in how it would all unfold if they do learn about those creatures, because like there's a lot of things that could just change the tide in an instant, and it's really crazy to think about. Yeah, but it is just insane to think about all the possibilities that can just unfold on Zeta Halo now. And, if they re-adding the flood, it's gonna be so awesome for, the gameplay and everything else. And, the one thing I've never actually thought of, there's always been a war between Unity and Covenant, and that was always like the main deal. Like that was always you know, the main threat was the Covenant because of the Great Journey and everything else. Um, but when you ultimately think about it, the Flood was always like a side character, like a side villain, a side faction, if you will. They were never like a primary faction to fight. So I wonder how it will play out with the Flood now uh, potentially being the main villain of the Halo games. It is possible that they can be the just a full on main villain of the game, which would be crazy because we've never had a like a campaign war with the Flood. It's always been Covenant and Flood. We've never had just the Flood though. Um, like the Covenant was, it had to be stopped because of the Great Journey, but the Flood was always like sidelined, you know. But now they're gonna be the primary enemy, which will make things a lot more interesting. And the thing is, too, though, the Flood is going to be a lot more powerful than even before, though, I'd imagine, just considering all the time that they've had to build up. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna just come out and just start fucking rinsing through shit like it's no tomorrow. Like, and I'm gonna be very excited to see how that all unfolds. For me personally, I love the Flood and the idea behind them, and you know, to have another Flood Gravemind villain, that is gonna be so crazy, you know. And I'm actually really curious what their goal will be now, because the goal before for the Flood, at least in Halo 3, was to stop, prevent the Great Journey and prevent the Great Journey and to stop, just to kill everything afterwards. Basically, that was their, ultimate goal. But now, I already know that their main goal now is going to be to ensure that they can't be eradicated. And how are they going to do that? If they are able to actually obtain that unkillable creature, at least to the Halo rings, the Flood can never truly be killed. They can never truly be killed. And that is just a crazy thing to think about. That they can actually just not be killed ever, no matter what you do. Which is ultimately where the humans are going to come in, I'd imagine. Where they have to retake the role as Reclaimer. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I just wanted to just ramble about some, some interesting thoughts I've been having for the future of Halo Infinite. There's just so many possibilities. Just I for one would love to just have a huge war with the Flood. Me personally, I would love to just have just a massive Flood armada just fly down from the heavens and just fucking just slam on the ground, just start, just tearing shit up everywhere. I would love to see that. Because when they come back, they're gonna be kind of pissed. They're not gonna be a happy camper. They're gonna come back with vengeance this time. They're gonna come through like a bat out of hell. I mean, they've been preparing all this time. Because you haven't heard, or nothing's been heard of or mentioned of Flood. Like, there's not, like, Flood has just been completely wiped. So, I'm really curious to see if the Flood will return in Halo Infinite, or if it does, how soon. So, I'm so excited to see what. Like I said, it is going to be a while, yes, because of the incident that we've had at 343, but I'm sure we'll get to those legendary stories one day, which I'll be waiting for them. All right, guys. So I don't want to keep going on. So here I'll just end it here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want to have a full-on Halo game where we just like start out fighting the Banished and then have like a truce of you know and then end up fighting alongside the Banished and then fighting the Flood after? Like, would you like a full-on Flood war? I know I would. I don't know if anyone else is up with me here, but um, yeah, let me know what you guys think about anything I've said, if you find it interesting or not. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.